Hello and welcome. I'm Elaine Canyon, sweetly writing happily ever after, one book at a time. And in this video, we're talking about goals. Welcome. It is 2024. I am so excited to start this year off. I have some fun things planned. We're going to be doing videos about cover design still and discovery writing. I've got a video in the works right now for getting unstuck as a discovery writer and working around writer's block. Next week is the final Design My Cover With Me video, and we're going to go through everything that I did. That cover is done. I am super excited for it. The Love Ships and Sea Serpents cover releases this week or next week. I will look and find out. It releases in January because the book is coming out on February 29th of 2024. If you're interested in that, there are links down below in the description. So I wanted to talk about goals today, and I wanted to do that for a very specific reason. SMART goals are the main thing that you see taught, discussed, etc., etc., etc. in January. Or SMARTer, I've seen that one too. And that is a way that functions really well for a lot of people. It does not function well for me. To give you some background, I'm on the autism spectrum. I work with ADHD and with OCD. So my life and that concoction and the way my brain handles that concoction makes it so SMART and SMARTer goals don't jive well with me. They don't work. And that's not to say that they don't work for neurodivergent people. I have neurodivergent people in my family, and SMART and SMARTer goals are the only way that they function. Without that process, life is a lot harder for them. But for me personally, and the way that my brain handles goal setting, SMART and SMARTer goals have always been a recipe for disaster. And there's two reasons why. If you don't know what SMART and SMARTer goals are, it's a specific way of setting goals. It's an acronym. I can never remember the whole thing. If you Google it, you will find so much. So I'm going to send you to Google. But there's two parts to a SMART or SMARTer goal that I always self-sabotage with. And they are attainable and they are time-based. That time-based is the biggest one. I can set attainable goals, but I always overestimate what I'm capable of doing in a length of time. And then when I figure out that I have done that, it results in one of two things. Either to keep my brain from spiraling on the lie that I'm a failure, I will forget the goal ever existed. I will choose to ignore that goal existed. I will erase it from all parts of my life. If I wrote it down somewhere, I will shred the paper. I will make it go away. And then I'll just keep working towards that goal. But anything that had a timetable on it, I'll destroy it. Or I will cheat the goal. Which is what was happening in NaNoWriMo in 2023 for me. I had set a goal, it was time-based, it was following the SMART things, and I realized halfway through that I had overestimated what I was capable of. And I know that the SMARTer thing, part of it is to evaluate and reapply and all of that. My brain doesn't handle that well. My brain will instead choose to try and cheat the goal. So I had chosen to edit for NaNoWriMo, and I was doing a crappy job of editing just to get through to the end. And when I realized that's what I was doing, I stepped back and I stopped. And I said, no, that's not okay. I care about this book. I want this book to be good. The goal is gone now. And so then it was just working during NaNoWriMo, which actually worked a lot better. But after November, I was like, okay, I need to stop doing this. This is unhealthy. This is not working. This is not going to be a good thing for me. And then I saw a video. If you are familiar with Sarra is an author and author tuber here on YouTube, and she has a community called Heart Breathings. I will link all of this down below. She puts out a planner in December every year to help you start planning for the next year upcoming. And she put out her video or her planner, and you can get it when you subscribe to her newsletter. And then she does a live stream where she walks through how to use this new planner. And I was watching the live stream while I was putting Christmas gifts together for neighbors. And as I'm watching it, she starts talking about a system for setting goals that I hadn't heard of before and was super appealing. It's called the Gameboard system. I'll link that live stream down below, and I will put a timestamp that says where to start if you just want to hear about the game board system. It's fun to sit and watch her go through the whole thing too, and she has a lot of good insights. So if you have the time to watch the full live stream, it's like 2 hours, very much worth the effort and the time. If you don't have the time, I'll give you the exact frame to watch in. So the way a game board system works for setting goals is that you put the overall goal that you want to have finished at the top. So the overall goal is, I want to publish this manuscript in 2024. Great. And she does everything with time-based for this. I took time-based out of the equation, which made all the difference. And you'll see why here in a second as I finish explaining it. So I'm going to use time-based as I talk about it because that's how she talked about it. But just know that you can take the time element out of this entirely. And for me, it works better. So you set that overall goal, and then you start listing all of the steps that you know need to happen to get there. And that might mean you have to take time to research while you're doing this and set those steps up little by little. So if you know all of the steps, then great, you can write them all down in one sitting. But if you have no idea what goes into publishing, then maybe your first step before you can write anything else down is learn what my steps are. And that's the first step. And you don't move on to doing anything else until you finish that first step. So for me, I was able to set this whole thing up with all of the goals that I'd like to have happen in the very near future. So one of them was publishing Love Ships and Sea Serpents. And I've been studying publishing, self-publishing, and everything else that goes into this long enough that I knew what needed to be done for it. So I was able to list all of that out. I was able to list every single step that I knew needed to happen and all of the sub-steps that were within those. So finish designing my cover was the first thing I wrote down. And then there was a whole bunch of steps within that I knew needed to happen. And as I complete each step, I move on to the next one. So it takes that time orient out of it completely for me. And it helps me not overestimate what I am capable of, because that was what was getting me in trouble more frequently than anything else. I didn't have the foresight to think in a big picture of all of the things that needed to happen and what kind of time that would actually take to do it. And now this method actually forces me to go through and step by step list out everything that needs to be done, which then creates a scenario where I know what I'm capable of because it's all listed out in front for me. And I don't have to worry about it. And I don't have to say, oh, well, sure, I can get this out by February. I had no idea in December when Love Ships and Sea Serpents was coming out. Absolutely no idea. But with this system of listing everything out and treating it like a game board, where when I complete each step, I move on to the next space on the game board, made it so that I finally could actually see and visualize in my head, oh, I'm this close. If I'm this close to being able to publish, I now know when I can publish by. I can set a date and feel confident in getting to that publish date. Because if you had asked me in the beginning of December of 2023, are you going to set a hard launch date? I would have told you no. I would have told you under no circumstance was I going to set a hard launch date. But this process and this method allowed me to visualize better what I was seeing and what I had left to do, so that I could say, actually, yeah, I can set a hard launch date and know that I can achieve it and feel confident in that, as opposed to setting a hard launch date and then failing in front of everybody. Because that was my number one fear, was that I was going to set a hard launch date and I was going to do one of two things. I was not going to meet it, or I was going to put out a subpar product because of a deadline. And I really didn't want that second one to happen. I didn't want the first one to happen either, but that second one was terrifying. So, if you are like me and setting smart and smarter goals does not work for your head, then may I offer up the game board method. Something that could be kind of fun that I didn't do, but I was tempted to do it, is to actually create a game board and go through and write all of your steps on a game board. I didn't do that because I know myself and I would have spent a lot of time making a pretty game board that I then wouldn't have used because I'm really bad about that. But if you're the kind of person that would help to have the visualization to be able to map everything out and put each individual thing on a game piece and move through the game, I think that would be really cool. And if you do that, I want to know about it. And I want to see pictures. You can tag me on Instagram at @AddieLaneCanyon. I would love to see it if you do it. All that to be said, I hope that your goals for 2024 are going well. And if this helped you or if this was eye-opening to you, please let me know down below in the comments. If SMART goals or smarter goals do work for you, I would love to know that they work for you, because it's good to know that there are a lot of people out there where it does work. And I know that everybody for whom it does work, you all have different tweaks for it and different ways that you use it. So I'd love to know the different ways you use SMART and smarter goals to help you be productive and reach the goals that you're setting for yourself. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. It helps other authors find it. If you don't want to miss out on my videos for this upcoming year on discovery writing and cover design and self-publishing on a shoestring budget, make sure you hit the subscribe button. I post videos on Wednesdays about those 3 topics, and sometimes little ones like this where we talk about a random thing that I think is super cool. I hope to see you again soon.